Dreamers of all ages, welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andee Zilmerman.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Aldee.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, just got back
Good?
from. Well,
when you go up on that end,
I am. I had a week of professional development for education, and then next week I also have a professional development week for education, which is so great and lovely, and so I just have nothing left afterwards. So, but it's good. Yep. It's all good.
What I discovered in my doctoral program was that the professional development weeks for K through 12 education is very different than professional development for higher education.
My Lord above.
They were talking about it forever, and I was like, "What's the big deal? Professional development? You go to a conference," and they're like, "No, that's not what it is at all."
It's so interactive. I mean, you have to be on because you're doing all the things. It's not just sitting there and listening at all. So, yeah, it is. I would imagine it would be different, but I had a good Disney week. How was your Disney week?
My Disney week was okay. I am in the middle, as you know, but we pretend to for the podcast. I'm heading to Comic-Con San Diego this week.
I have so many questions.
I'm super excited about it. And so in my prep for Comic-Con, I do a lot of stuff, not least of which look for food and what I'm going to eat, because it can be really difficult to get a halfway decent meal within walking distance of the convention center. That's not like your umpteenth pretzel of the day. And I'm sort of prepping for all of my shopping and collecting and all that kind of thing. Now, every year Comic-Con, and it's sort of legendary, has the Comic-Con bag that they give you when you walk in the door. And for as long as I can remember, it's this giant bag with like a big for forever. It's been hosted by Warner Brothers, has been the sponsor. And so forever it's been a Warner Brothers property, which for me is great because usually there is at least one DC Comics comic-based bag. People collect them, they hang them on their walls. They're giant. They're like 4 feet big.
They fill them with odds and ends that you need to take to your classroom, and maybe they sit there in your classroom for a while, full of the odds and ends that you're not using.
Yeah,
they're really good
for
those
that. People who have classrooms. And it's just a big thing. I've seen people, which I think is really cool, make dresses out of them because they're so sort of ubiquitous.
It's so cool.
Well, this is the first year that Warner Brothers isn't sponsoring them. Disney Television is actually sponsoring them.
Are you serious?
Right, which I was super excited about. As I don't know if you're aware of this, I co-host a Disney podcast. And so I was like super stoked to go like see what the bags were. And for being hosted by Disney Television, there's literally no real Disney content. So
what is it?
Each of the bags has like a show or something that's going to be on it. So here, I'm going to read them to you, and you tell me which of these is the most Disney. Futurama, a new show called Solar Opposites, Abbott Elementary, a show that I love, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Praise Petey, Shogun, another new show, Family Guy, American Dad, Bob's Burger, The Simpsons, and The Great North. Now,
so they're all Fox related.
They're all Fox
except
TV
for Abbott
stuff, except for Abbott Elementary or Hulu. No Disney Plus. Well, no, Percy Jackson is Disney Plus, but other than that,
Percy Jackson would be pretty cool. I would be very happy to get a Percy Jackson bag or an Abbott Elementary bag
I'd be happy to get an Abbott Elementary bag. I'd be happy to get maybe a Simpsons bag. That would be cool. But other than that, I'm like, and it's not necessarily that any of those are bad. It's like with all that opportunity, one like pure Disney, even if it was just like a Disney Plus bag, right? Like just one pure Disney bag would not be unwelcome.
Yes, except that most of the time they put smaller type shows on them in order to promote the shows that they're doing.
Well, particularly shows that people haven't seen.
Yeah.
But The Simpsons, I'm pretty sure people are familiar with this. I don't know that there's anybody walking around going, "Hey, have you heard about this thing called The Simpsons?"
Okay, good point. But maybe they don't know it's Disney. I don't know. I mean,
it's just, it's a free bag. Who am I to complain about it? But it's just one of those things where I'm like, just one of those choices should have been a more pure Disney. Like, And quite honestly, the way it works is you get handed a bag, you don't get to choose. Whatever bag you get, you get. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people trading bags to get the one they want. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if you did do one Disney, it would be the bag of the convention. Everybody will, even if it's just like a plain old like Mickey Mouse or Castle
Mm-hmm.
bag. Oh my
For
gosh,
sure.
it would be the bag of the
Or Star
convention.
Wars even.
Or Star Wars, like any number of things,
Mm-hmm.
that, and they've got plenty of Star Wars TV shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking.
Mandalorian bag, an Ahsoka bag, like any number of things.
Yeah, Ahsoka would be really
So
cool,
it's sort of
actually.
a disappointment in my Disney week in the midst of very much excitement as I get all my stuff together to head to San Diego.
I heard Disney, Warner Brothers, all the big studios were pulling out of Comic-Con. Is that this year or next year?
No, that's this year. They're not pulling out, but between the WGA strike and now the
Yes. Well,
SAG-AFTRA strike,
yeah, and now actors
yeah,
aren't going.
according to union rules, actors can't during the strike aren't really allowed
Right.
by the union to promote shows.
Right.
So, like Abbott Elementary was going to have a panel. I was really excited about that. That's probably not going to happen.
So are
Hall
people
H is going to be like a
canceling?
non-entity. Yeah, there's been a ton of cancellations. Hold on, I actually was just looking at an article about all the cancellations that are happening at Comic-Con. But I mean, it makes sense, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're on strike to like
This
decide
is
to
why you're
not,
on strike.
yeah, it's sort of the point.
Yeah.
To then go to Comic-Con. Like there's going to be a couple of people there who are promoting things that aren't movies and TV shows.
Makes sense. But does that make people like you who are there for the comics like super happy because you're like, oh my gosh,
I
like
mean, I'm indifferent. Like, here's the thing: people who are like here for the comics, Comic-Con has never not had comics, so
no,
I've
I know.
never felt like because
No, I
there's
know.
more than comics, I couldn't have like my thing. So I say this because there's a lot. There are a lot of comics people who are doing exactly what you're saying. I just don't happen to be one of them because
But
it's
there'll be
this sort of
less people.
needless. Yeah. What's I don't think there is going to be less people, quite frankly.
Really? You think there's
Well,
still going to be
because
like
if
150,000 people
here's the
there?
thing, the strike just happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's say you've already got a hotel room, which is if you got it through the con,
No, I
not
know.
the
You can't
deposit's
refund.
not
Yeah.
refundable.
Mm-hmm.
You've already got plane tickets. You've already
Mm-hmm.
bought your Comic-Con ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not gonna go?
No, I'm very interested to hear or
And then there's
see
still
what's
all
going to
the stuff
happen.
outside of the convention. It's still 4 days at San
That's true.
Diego. Is
Yeah.
a certain tenor of fan gonna be disappointed if you go for the Hollywood stuff?
Yeah.
I can see you being a little more disappointed. My biggest worry is that all those people are gonna like be like, well, let's go to this random comic book stuff because just for something to do, and I'll be
And
like,
you're
hey,
like,
no, get out of here.
okay, that's fair.
Because
That's fair.
me, like for years, for our listeners, Hall H is the big 6,500 person room where all the big, huge studio stuff happens.
Yes.
I stopped going to Hall H years ago
of that
because it just wasn't worth it. So for me, my particular convention experience isn't going to be changed even a little bit. To your point, if some people decide not to go, oh darn, wow, there's less people.
Yeah, I know that part. That part is what I was thinking, actually, or the crowds. So that's good. So, I can't wait. So you're going to have to keep us updated. And when are your sessions that you're leading?
So I am responsible for 4 sessions overall, 2 of which one I'm facilitating and one I'm on panel for. They're all Sunday in the Shiley Event Center at the library. From 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, a session an hour. And here's the thing for our listeners, if you're in San Diego or if you're at Comic-Con, or you're in San Diego and not at Comic-Con, our panels you don't need a badge for. So you can go down to the library and do all of those panels. And there's panels Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Even if you don't have a Comic-Con badge.
Yeah, I love that.
It's really cool. It's the comics conference for educators and librarians.
I love it.
So
love it.
I highly encourage people to come to our panels and all the other panels that are happening. There's some great panels happening there. If you're in San Diego or near San Diego, you can still go down to Comic-Con, even if you don't have a badge, and have a great time. There's tons of stuff outside the convention center to do. And I'm really excited about it. And if you are a listener and do come to any of those panels, please say hi.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to say hi to you.
For sure.
Even if, Andee's your favorite, I'm happy to say hello.
I doubt that that's true for anyone, for real. Well, my Disney week, I have a friend, and she is actually a mentor of mine. She's was a teacher librarian for a very long time before she
Jill
retired,
Biden?
and so no, Joe Biden was never a teacher
I
librarian.
said Jill Biden, but yeah.
Oh, Jill, she was never
Yeah.
a teacher librarian. She
Well,
was
yeah.
a teacher or is
I
a
don't know her
teacher.
life.
But she shared this with me. She was doing some cleaning out of her garage. And so if you're on YouTube, you can see it. If you're
Oh, that's so
not,
cool.
so this is from 1971. It is
It's
the
Walt
Walt
Disney's Disneyland
Disney's Disneyland pictorial
book.
souvenir and guide. I will take some pictures and post that on postal or social media. But I love this. This I wanted to point out. It's on the back, and it talks about. Let's see. Can I do it there? There. It talks about all the sponsors
Oh,
that
that's so cool.
Disneyland had, and some people, even now, if companies sponsor an attraction, um, there's controversy over it sometimes, and I'm like, wow, they've been doing that since the beginning, and I just love
Since day one, they've had sponsors.
since literally day one. And so it's just interesting to see who sponsored what in 1971. There's a lot, and like I said, I will share. I'll share this page. I'll share the pictures, but where's the one I was looking for? It was Pepsi sponsored the Golden Horseshoe. So they had Pepsi products for a long time. I wonder when they switched to Coke. So I'd be Casa de Fritos was the Mexican restaurant in there.
And the birthplace of Doritos.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Carnation is still Carnation, which is fun. Yeah, so Welch's grape juice in Fantasyland. And it's funny that it was like that because I remember getting Welch's grape pops when we were at Disneyland as kids. So that's cool. But then also what she found really I am just digging, and it is boom boom boom. This
Oh my gosh, is that a parking pass?
It is a parking pass. I don't know if it's focused very well. It is a parking pass. She and her family had this parking pass from when they were at Disneyland. They were in section J for 50 cents. They were able to park, which is a far cry from $25. I can't even imagine that with inflation. 50 cents would go to $25.
It's not. It's so below inflation.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is it now? 30 or 40?
I don't. Is it that much? I thought it was. I don't even know
because it's been a long time since I've had to park because usually I fly down.
Right.
But I think it's like 30 or 40 now. Let me hold on. I'm looking while we talk. But
okay,
parking
is
no, that's hotel.
Yeah, even a hotel will stay.
Standard parking is $30, and then $40 for like an oversized vehicle. $30.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Well, it's that's not a fun thing to greet you before you even get in the parks for sure.
Yeah.
But as my friend Deb gave me this and was talking about her first time in 1971, it's interesting on the chat groups that I'm part of to see there are so many people still going for their first time to Disneyland. And so we thought that we'd do a little series in the upcoming weeks. What are the top 5 suggestions for you? Our top 5 suggestions for you if you are a first timer going to each park. And so we will take these separate. For instance, we'll focus on Disneyland today, and another day we'll do Disney's California Adventure, or we'll do, the 4 parks within Disney World rather than Walt Disney World altogether. Because how can you pick just 5 of all of Walt Disney World? You can't. So
I mean, I can, but
no, you cannot.
Not.
You keep thinking that, dude.
I'm just better. I'm sorry. I mean, just.
So what I was realizing as I was coming up with my top 5, I don't know if you had the same things, is that of course it's going to be different for different crowds. If you have preschoolers, it's probably going to be something different that I'm going to tell you to do. If you have high school kids or no kids at all, or going single. So what I tried to do, I don't know how you picture this, but what I tried to do is I tried to stay pretty generic. Like, of course, if you can't get to one of these things because of an age or a preference, that's fine. But I tried to pick even though it was hard to just stick to 5, I tried to pick top 5 things that you needed to do while you're at Disneyland, just in a generic sense.
See, I did different, but I think it'll work.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, okay, so just, hey, here's the top 5 things you need to do for your first time at Disneyland was a little too general. So I said, what are the different categories of things, right? And so I picked like categories of the top blah, and you'll see as I go through my list.
Okay.
Of sort of how I categorize. Because I think a full day at Disneyland, like I've gone with people who are just like, we're here to ride. And I'm like, well, that's not everything there is to do, right? There's shows and there's food and there's all that kind of stuff. So
but that's why I was thinking
for each.
But if that's nice that you did that, but then I have questions. A, should I come up with categories for each? Or B, I tried to pick things that you know that when you go to Disneyland, especially if you were going on a day in July, you wouldn't get everything done. You wouldn't get your top 5 food. You wouldn't get your top 5 attractions. You wouldn't get your top 5 shows, top 5 stores. So what are like 5 things?
I think the way you've generated your list is just fine. I think we'll just, as we go through, we'll compare them and see. All right. You know, that, I mean, obviously mine will be better, but I do think that there's not a problem with how you've done it.
Well, no, there's never a problem with how I do things, but whatever. I'll let you go first, since obviously you're going to have way more than I do.
Well, I got 5. I mean,
okay.
So my first one is in the category of first time attraction. Okay. And the way I sort of approached this was, what is the attraction that gives you the fullest experience that sort of tells you everything that Disney attractions have to offer, right? Mm-hmm. So some people are roller coaster people. Some people are dark ride people. Some people are like the educational type attraction type people, right? And for me, I was like, what is if like you had your one attraction you could see at Disneyland to give you an idea, and this was what was going to give you an idea of what the experience of Disneyland was like, which one would it be? And so my first time attraction, if you're the first time at the park, and this is the one attraction you can't miss, is Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye, because it sort of combines all the best of everything. It's a massive dark ride. It's also a thrill ride. It's also the theming on Indiana Jones, the story and theme are impeccable. I have never gotten off of Indiana Jones without a huge smile on my face. And even the queue is incredibly entertaining. So it's just, if it is your first time, and this was hard to come by because I'm like, well, there's so many classic Disney rides, but everything I landed on sort of veered towards, so I said, okay, Jungle Cruise, but that's really all theme, right? Or the Matterhorn, but that's really all thrill ride, right? Or It's a Small World, that's really like all show. Or Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is show. So this was the one I thought encompassed sort of a little bit of all of the things that Disney attractions have to offer. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome. So
I think it's good too. I had a hard time not putting it on my list. I put it on, took it off a few times. The other reason I love it so much is because really there's nothing else like it out there. I mean, they tried to do dinosaur like that in Disney's Animal Kingdom, right? But it didn't turn out the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
So,
and part of it is because you have the whole Indiana Jones connection, but part of it is it's just the thrill. Like, dinosaur. Still haven't seen Dinosaur, but it's the movies, right? Like you come into it already loving Indiana Jones, and
yeah,
just kicks
exactly. Well, I did, for one of my things that people have to do the first time, I did put Jungle Cruise in there, only because
no argument for me.
Well, I mean that was the one ride or one of the rides that Walt Disney had such a passion about, and it started out to be one thing, but because he went on it, that one time, he's like, oh no, this isn't it. Yeah, we got to change some things, and that ride evolved.
Oh yeah.
Over the years that Walt Disney was alive, so I think that everybody needs to go on the Jungle Cruise, and plus the skippers are funny. They're just funny.
Well, and I think that's sort of the charm of the Jungle Cruise is. Other attractions from opening will age so poorly because they're so of their time. And the thing about the Jungle Cruise is it's kind of the Jungle Cruise skipper dad joke.
Yeah.
It's sort of winks at the fact that it's out of time. And that's what's fun about it. Like the corniness is a feature, not a bug, right? The Jungle Cruise is full of corny, terrible, wonderful, terrible jokes. And that's why you go on it, as opposed to like, oh my God, this old fashioned, old styley attraction. It's sort of like, yeah, of course it's old fashioned and old timey. That's the point.
But I also think that it's specific to Disneyland. Like if you're going to Disneyland for the first time, I say go on it. Even if you're used to going on Disney World's Jungle Cruise a million times, I still say go on Disneyland's because of the history and what it is. Yeah. Whereas if I'm telling you to go to the Magic Kingdom for the first time and giving you the top 5 things to do at Magic Kingdom, I wouldn't pick Jungle Cruise at all. Like that wouldn't even be on my list. So it's mainly because of what it means, you know, while you're at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So
and similar to you, so many of, I think almost every piece of my list is unique to Disneyland with one exception, but I think that exception is still unique to Disneyland.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great pick. And honestly, Jungle Cruise came so close to being on my list. Because I'll be honest, not just because it's an easy line, but I don't know that I can leave the park without doing Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
I just don't. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine. There's a ton of other rides. Like if the big thrill rides, if I don't get on monorail, I mean, not monorail, if I don't get on Matterhorn or Space Mountain, I'm like, I'm disappointed, but it's okay. But if I don't get on Jungle Cruise, I'm like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, good. All right. What's your next then?
Next pick is a first timer snack, right? And again, something that's unique to Disneyland. So I'm not going to say Starbucks. Although I stand by Starbucks being the best snack at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Controversial opinion. And you'll tell me, because I haven't been to Walt Disney World parks enough to know if this even exists there. It may or may not exist there. But it is such a unique Disneyland thing. And it's so tied in my brain with going to Disneyland. And particularly right about now, middle of July, it's super hot. You need a little cool off in the middle of the day. You know where I'm going with this. Dole pineapple whip.
Yeah, they do have it at Magic Kingdom.
Perfect. Is it at Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. But you have to get it if you're going to Disneyland for the first time.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? You have to get a Dole pineapple.
Yeah.
And take that into the Tiki Room.
Yes, you do.
It's what you're required to do. And
that is true.
It's sort of the 1-2 punch of maybe the most inherently pleasant Disneyland experience is sitting in the Tiki Room, especially if it's a hot day, eating a Dole Whip, and just, it's the best.
Yeah, no, and you have to do it. You just have to do it your first time at Disneyland. That's one of the things you have to do. I'm glad you included that because I did not have that.
Wait till midday.
Yeah,
when it's warm.
When you need a break.
When you really need a break and you need to get out of the sun and you need to cool off.
Yeah.
Because it's so pleasant. Like I'm just thinking of what could ruin that. Like you go over there, you get your Dole Whip, and you go watch the Tiki Room, and you know, and you're in there for just long enough to cool off, and it's the best. The best.
Yep. I'm so glad you included that. Okay, well, you had said what my next one is, and that's the Matterhorn. If you're a first timer at Disneyland, you have to go on the Matterhorn. There's no other Disney park that has the Matterhorn, so you have to do that if you go to Disneyland. It's
Love the Matterhorn.
A little bit jerky, right? It's not a very smooth ride. This is true. This is true. But I think you need to do it if you go to Disneyland. That's one of the top 5 things you do. It scared me to death when I was a little kid, but I'm okay now. I think.
Did it scare you when you were a kid?
I didn't go on it. This was back in the days where a parent could actually leave their child outside the ride and everything would be fine if they went on the ride and you were, 7 years old by yourself. It was actually okay.
Yeah,
don't ask me why.
These were a wonderful time.
For real. I was like, I would just be on the bench. I'd be like, see ya, fam. And it would be fine. And then they come and get me. But yeah, everybody else went on it and I stayed out. So it wasn't until I was, older, like a teenager, that I was like, okay, I can go on it. But yeah.
Yeah,
I did
because
not
I
like
think of the Matterhorn
Mm-hmm.
and of roller coasters. And weirdly enough, I do have a fear of heights, and generally I'm not a huge thrill ride person. Like I like drop rides, I don't enjoy.
Uh-huh.
But the Matterhorn is like the best roller coaster, and it doesn't have like the loops or some of the things that the other roller coasters have. It's just pure fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just everything about it is just fun. And you, again, like most of Disneyland, like a lot of our listeners, you're just going to come off smiling. So I'm 100% in agreement on that. Yeah, the Matterhorn. Man,
The Matterhorn.
this is making me want to go to Disneyland.
I think I'll go in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so my next one is the first time show, right? Because Disney isn't just sort of pure attractions. It's also shows, which people really, really underestimate. Now, I was going to go with parades, but they changed so much. It's hard to settle on sort of one parade. And the parades I truly love are never coming back, like the Lion King parade, right? So then I thought, personal favorite, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. But I acknowledge that I'm a nerd and that a lot of people may not get the thrill of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln that I do. And so I went with, and again, this is at Walt Disney World. And actually, I have said more than once, the venue for this at Walt Disney World is superior to the venue for this at Disneyland. But Disneyland's version is just so big, which is so rare compared to, how things usually are when you compare Florida to Anaheim. Usually it's the other way, where the Anaheim version is so much smaller, but I'm pretty sure the Anaheim version of this is way bigger. And it's Fantasmic.
Yeah,
which is,
absolutely.
If you're a first timer and you just want to, I sort of mark my Disney park experiences as before Fantasmic and after Fantasmic, because it's hard to see now because it's been around for decades. But when Fantasmic came out, you'd never seen anything like that.
That exactly.
Like, it was so like, I can't believe this is happening in front of me. And now it's been around so long, there's people who weren't born who have children who are watching Fantasmic. But I remember the first time I saw Fantasmic. I remember the first time Fantasmic was described to me, because you had got some information, you and this guy you were dating had got some information about what it was coming. And I was like, that sounds like a lie. There's no way that can happen. Like, there's going to be a dragon, a real live dragon that's going to breathe fire.
A dragon.
And they're going to show film on water. Yeah, right. And then when I went and saw the show, I was like, yep, big giant dragon that's breathing water, that's breathing fire, and there's film on water, and it's insane. Fantasmic is and has been since its inception like a game changer for park shows and entertainment.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Fantastic. If it's your first time, I know, because if it's your first time, you're gonna be like, why am I waiting for this?
Yeah.
Trust me. Get there, spend an hour waiting for it. It's gonna be worth your time.
It's really good. And I will say, we were talking about the music of Fantasmic last time for our Happy Songs podcast. And I was thinking the 80s. I'm like, oh yeah, it came out in the 80s. And Christina, one of our community duelists, she's like, it came out in 92. Like, so I thought it came out way before that.
It was, we were about to get out of college. You may have been out already.
Now I'm remembering that trip and the person I dated, and that's all coming back to me right now. And that was,
sorry about that. I don't know those aren't.
No, that was 91, 92. It was when I was dating him. So that makes perfect sense now. So yeah, love it. And yes, I hate the venue.
Oh my God. Why don't I hate the venue? It's just,
I do.
Seating.
It's dumb.
The idea of having an amphitheater where you can sit down is so much better.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Hollywood Studios.
Enjoyable. And I'm Disneyland doing that.
Exactly.
Come on. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I would hate to ruin New Orleans Square by putting seating in there too. So it's
yeah. I agree. I don't know what to do, but that's the problem with Disneyland, right? You're stuck in the space that you have.
I don't see it as a problem, but go on.
I do. Anyway, I think that if you're going to Disneyland for the first time, you need to do a character meal. I think that especially if you have little kids or if you are Disney-ish in any way, right? I mean, if you don't care about Disney and you're there with other people for the first time and you're like, whatever, just get me on rides. Okay, it might not be for you. But I do love character meals because you're paying for the one-on-one interaction. You have to eat anyway. So do that, and then you save a lot more. You kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, and then you don't have to wait in line. Like, pick your favorite characters,
Right.
And do that character meal. So that would be my suggestion. And even better if you do a character meal, maybe on the day you arrive or the day you leave, if you're not going into the parks, but you're still there for a couple hours before your flight or before you take off. That's what we usually did, was do a hotel character meal on the day we didn't go into the park. But I say do that your first time because you'll have that one-on-one experience then.
I mean, I've done one character meal with my nephew and my sister, and my sister's family, and it was a lot of fun. I would disagree with you, and this is a long-standing disagreement with me and you, that if you love Disney, you have to be comfortable with the character interactions. The character interaction is just really awkward for me. It's not that I don't love Disney. It's just, it's really awkward for me to sit there and go, hi, you're Peter Pan, but you're not really Peter Pan.
Yeah.
And I have spoken to more than one person who shares that awkwardness. So I will just say, for our listeners, from half of the podcast, if that interaction is awkward for you, it doesn't make you less of a Disney fan. It's an awkward thing for some people. And again, I will speak for half of our podcast, not the entire podcast, not the judgy side, the half of the podcast.
Okay, whatever. I don't know.
This is why people tune in. This is the argue part of the dueling Disney.
No, they tune in to know I'm right and you're wrong.
I don't see that as happening.
Whatevs. Anyway, your turn.
Okay, so connected to yours, I said, okay, so first time, where are you going to eat? And I'm like, okay, we've already done a snack, but like a sit down meal. And I went through sort of the different places in the park that I love to eat. And there's so many places. I mean, I can eat at four places on Main Street and just be fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, over the years, and you know this, the food at Disneyland has gotten better and better. It used to just be your standard theme park food. And now it's really pretty good, especially at the table service restaurants. And so I said, okay, so what is kind of the best meal at Disneyland that also isn't going to take hours to get? Because that's the other thing, is you're burning time when you're sitting down to eat, right? So if you go and you do a full course meal like at the Blue Bayou, it's awesome and it's great. But every time I do that, I'm like, feel like I'm burning money because I'm like, I should get up and go. So
good point.
My criteria was like good sit down meal that you felt satisfied with, that wasn't going to make you sick after if you went on attractions, but always also was quick enough that it wasn't going to burn your whole day. And so this meal is actually available at two places, both in New Orleans Square, one Blue Bayou, but you got to have a reservation and all that kind of stuff. But the other is at the French Market, and it's the jambalaya at the French Market, which is really good. I make a mean jambalaya myself.
Wait, is the French Market still open?
It's not open currently. It's like currently under renovation. I think it's going to be relaunched as Tiana's restaurant.
That's where Tiana. But what's Cafe Orleans then?
Cafe Orleans is still open, but it's really, I think you can get it at Cafe Orleans too.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, because last time I was there, the French Market was not open and I did get it. So I think that was probably Cafe Orleans.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is just around the corner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is Cafe Orleans. Actually, I probably would tell you to go there because it's generally less crowded than the French Market, because a lot of people don't know it's there. But I think it's a really good jambalaya. It's really hearty and filling, but it's also, unless you've got a particularly sensitive stomach, not gonna like make you nauseous if you jump from there and get on the Matterhorn. I think it's just a really good sit down meal that you can get quickly, rest for a little bit, but then get right back up and jump on Pirates.
All right. That's fair. You're right. I like it. All right. My next one has to do, yes, there is this attraction at every other park, but I still think if you're at Disneyland for the first time, you have to do it. And that's Haunted Mansion. And I have Haunted Mansion because, again, of the history, just like with Jungle Cruise, the ideas were led by Walt, and just the history behind how it came up to what it was going to be. Like, it's not a walk through haunted house. They had to, do something different. But the other thing that is kind of unique to Disneyland, because there is no space at Disneyland, you go underground and the whole attraction is underground, kind of like Pirates, because there's no space. So, is this haunted room actually stretching? Yes, it is. And you're going underground. And, same with Pirates when you go down all those hills. But right. I think Haunted Mansion, even though I can't wait someday to get to Shanghai to see that Phantom Manor or whatever it is. It looks amazing. But I think you need to do the original if it's your first time at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't 100% remember if we've done this as a topic, but I would say over the years, I have to acknowledge that Haunted Mansion is probably my personal favorite attraction. It switches and goes back and forth, but I always come back to Haunted Mansion. And, people love Pirates, but if I'm in New Orleans Square and it's the end of the night and I can only do one, it's gonna be Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I just love it.
I'm with you.
Okay, so it's my final one, right?
Mine too.
And so my final category is you're gonna go to Disneyland. You're going to want to take home some souvenirs. You're going to want to get some stuff. And so I was like, what is the souvenir? But then I was like, that's kind of too narrow. So I said, what is the place as a first timer you want to go to get something really cool and really perhaps unique? And that comes from me. I always want unique stuff. I don't want to, we've talked about this before. I don't want the Mickey Mouse surfing on a surfboard that says Malibu collectible. Right. I don't care about that. I want something that very few people are going to have, or there's going to be interesting or tied with history. So I was like, what is my favorite place to shop? And the first place, if you're a first timer, not only is this place a good place to shop, but you're probably not going to miss it because you're going to hit it either right in when you enter the park or right before you leave the park. And it's not the Emporium, although the Emporium is great, but the Emporium is more generic. But Disneyana, which is to the right, just as you enter the park, just under the archway as you go under the railroad. And Disneyana tends to be a little more high end, but they also have some affordable stuff there, and it's really unique. And it's usually specifically park related collector stuff, and it's really, really cool. And I love Disneyana, and it's hard for me to go to the park without buying something from Disneyana. So I would say if you're a first timer, either pop in there as soon as you walk into the park, or what I usually do is it's the last place I go before I head out is Disneyana. So I think as a first timer, it's going to be the most unique of the shops, I think. Again, I don't have kids, so maybe Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is more unique, but it seems like that's kind of stuff you can get at any Disney store at a mall. I think Disneyana is full of stuff you can only get at Disneyland. So first time shopping location, Disneyana.
All right. I love that. Okay, well, I can't because I didn't do any shopping location. Because I don't care if it's your first time at Disneyland, if you shop or not. Whatever, that's up to you. But I do agree with Disneyana. That's my favorite place too. If I have to pick one place, that's it. Okay, and this next one, you have to, if it's your first time at Disneyland, and then you don't ever have to do it again, but you have to go on Small World. And that's because it was, again, Disney, World's Fair, But if you are one of those people who's only been to Walt Disney World, you don't even know. I think that to get there, here's what you have to do, though. It's part of going to Small World is you have to walk through Fantasyland to see what Fantasyland is, how it's different than everything else if you have been to Disney parks. I'm not saying you have to go on the attractions there if you don't want to, but see Fantasyland and then get to Small World. Because it just stand outside for 10 minutes and watch the clock, watch the little dolls come out every quarter hour. It's just awesome. And yeah, you have to do it. And then you don't ever have to do it again. But if it's your first time at Disneyland, you have to go on Small World.
I love Small World. People who don't like Small World to me are suspect. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I know there's a ton of people who don't like Small World or who find it annoying.
But you still have to do it once. It's like, food. You have to try it once before you say you don't like it. And you can't compare Walt Disney World Small World with Disneyland.
Oh, it's so different.
It's so different. It's so different. So definitely go experience the original and you'll be happy. I think if you do these 10 things that Al and I talked about, at least, hopefully you'll do more, but I think that you'll have a good sense of what Disneyland has to offer.
Yeah, I think on this list, it's kind of if not a perfect day at Disneyland, a really top-notch day at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Between both of our lists. Because honestly, Small World fell off my list super last minute. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't come up with a category because I knew I wanted the attraction to be something more all-encompassing, and it wasn't purely a show.
Oh, I'm glad you had Indiana Jones. Yeah. I really think that's great, too. But I was going more for it is only at Disneyland right now, so.
Yeah.
That fits into my categories, too.
Do you have any honorable mentions? I got a ton of honorable mentions.
I only have 2 honorable mentions, and that would be, I'm taking it away, actually, though. I had Rise of the Resistance on there, but I was thinking more for people who have never been to any Disney park. If you went on the one at Disney's Hollywood Studios, it's the same thing. You don't have to do that.
It's not inherently Disneyland.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, and then we'll go into yours, I will say that the churros at Disneyland are far and away better than the churros you get at Disney World. Don't get the churros at Disney World. They're just like dry, blech. The ones at Disneyland are bomb, and they are so moist and so good, and they have different flavors depending on the season. Those are the churros you want. These are the churros you're looking for. Those are mine. Yeah.
My honorable mentions, there's a couple of food ones. Carnation Cafe on Main Street. I love eating there. And particularly, and it was when we went on my birthday, if you can get the little gazebo and just people watch on Main Street. Oh my gosh. Great place for another meal. Obviously the snack churros. I want to put in a plug for the skewers at Bengal Barbecue. Particularly if you are after my weight loss reduction surgery, I had a hard time with different foods. And if you're just like, hey, I just need protein, Bengal Barbecue is the best. It's so good. And quite honestly, just if top attractions, we can make a whole list on just the attractions you have to hit. But also the Hat Place, right?
Oh, yeah.
By what is it? No, it's not.
Are you talking about the one out front of the park or the one in the back by Mad Hatter?
In the back by Mad Hatter.
There's the one by it's called Mad Hatter's Hat Shop. The one by Teacups. Yeah.
By Teacups. Yeah. And so if you just cool, funky little hats. And last time I was there, I think if you were a Magic Key holder, you could get free embroidery.
Oh wow!
On some of the hats. So that's a honorable mention. I will say, most recent time there, and since you're going in a couple weeks, I've heard, but I didn't get a chance because the lines were pretty long, that the food in Toontown is way better than it used to be.
That's what the kids say too. The kids say the same thing.
So next time I go, I got to try that. I was not able to complete the line for Mickey's Runaway Railway when I was there, but I did it when we were.
You already went on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And from what I understand, it's basically the same. But just on the whole, this might surprise listeners and viewers, but Disneyland's a pretty fun place. So I would, if you haven't been, I highly recommend it if you have the means.
So choice.
So
all right. Well, then to our listeners and especially our Dueling Disney community duelists, now tell us what we missed. Go on Facebook at Dueling Disney or join our private group, Dueling Disney Community Duelists. Just join that group and you'll be able to participate in the conversations with all of us. I want to know what we missed. I want to know if we were wrong on any. You guys, don't be afraid to let us know. So you can find us there. You can also find us on Instagram at dueling_Disney. Al, I did not put Dueling Disney on Threads yet. Should I do that or do I care?
think you should. I am on Threads as an individual. And I would be supportive.
Okay, then we'll try to get on
Threads.
On Threads. I'll let you know that first post. I can't promise a lot. Maybe I don't know. I got to check out Threads a little bit more. I'm still
I enjoyed Threads. I think I haven't figured out how to do hashtag stuff there, but I just haven't.
There's no hashtags.
I mean, so it's harder to find stuff. So I've just got to figure out how to find stuff is all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then we're on YouTube. And if you're watching us, you already know that. But just in case you're listening and you want to see our lovely Saturday morning faces, this is what
Saturday morning. Your cadaverous pallor betrays an aura of foreboding, almost as though you sense a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination, And consider this dismaying observation. This chamber has no windows and no doors, which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out. Of course, there's always Dueling Disney